Welcome back to the 5280 Pitch Women's Soccer at Altitude. I'm Kate Hanson, and today is a really special episode because for the first time, I am sitting down with a Denver Summit FC player. Kaleigh Kurtz. If you are a Summit fan, you are going to be watching her leading this back line all season long. But here's the thing, most of you probably don't really know her yet. She spent 8 years with the North Carolina Courage. She has won 2 NWSL championships, 2 Shields, 2 Challenge Cups, and she holds the NWSL record 4 consecutive games started and consecutive minutes played. 4 straight Iron Woman seasons. But she's new here to Denver. So before we dive into what we saw during preseason, I want to spend some time just getting to know Kaleigh, where she's from, how she got here, what made her decide she wanted to spend some time with an expansion team here in the Mile High City, and what her expectations are for this season. And then, we are going to talk a little bit about those preseason games at Coachella, what it felt like to step on the field for the first time wearing a Summit jersey, what she saw from her teammates, and what it was like to wear the captain armband in those preseason games. Kaleigh, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I want all the fans to know all about us, so I'm ready to dive in.
Well, I mean, if your viral video of you conducting the Colorado Symphony did not make people aware of you and your second hobby here. Yeah. So like I said before, most Denver fans might be meeting you for the first time. So let's start back at square one here. Okay. Where did you grow up, and how did you get into soccer?
Okay, I am
We're
from
going
Greenville.
way back here.
Yeah, we're going way back. Here we go. I was born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina, and I've pretty much been a Carolina girl for almost all my life. I got into soccer originally because my older sister, she's 3 years older than me, she was playing soccer. And at that time, in my young, early years, I wanted to do everything that she did. So that's how I originally got into soccer. And then very quickly, I was realizing that, this is fun. And my other sport was swimming. And I had a good time in the water, but swimming laps is not quite as fun as chasing a ball around on the field, at least for me. So that was when I decided between my 2 sports, and it was soccer took over. And then,
how old were you when you made that decision between 2 sports? Because I've got young girls. I've got an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old. The 8-year-old, actually, we went and picked up your shirt. This is hers. We went and picked it up at the last Friday at the big, jersey reveal party. But she does swim, she does soccer, she does softball. She does basketball. And I remember, so I played collegiate softball. That's as far as I got. But I don't remember having to choose a sport until maybe my junior year of high school. And that's when I stopped playing soccer and I stopped the golf and I just did soccer or softball. So, I mean, when did you make that decision? Because I feel like it's getting, my 8-year-old, I'm already at the point of like, I don't know how we're going to be able to keep doing all these things.
Yeah, I made the choice in 4th grade. So I think I was 10, maybe 11 max. I remember when I talked to girls my age, and a lot of them did basketball and soccer, a lot of them did it a lot longer than me. However, both soccer and swimming were year-round, and so that was the big struggle. It wasn't like one season and then the other season, so I could participate in both. It became full-time year-round. Would jump in the pool from 3 to 5, and then my parents would drive me over to my soccer complex, and I'd have training from 6 to 8. So that was hard on them, and it was also hard on me, and so I had to make the choice in the 4th grade whether I wanted to do soccer or swimming. But I think you should, I'm not a parent, so I don't know, but if you keep your kids in things as long as possible, obviously as it's not straining you or your family, it's probably for the best. Like, it makes them so coordinated and multifaceted, and it can only help their sporting, I think, if they're multifaceted.
Well, and so you're a swimmer, you then switched to, or made the commitment to just soccer. Let's talk a little bit about some of the positions that you played growing up, because again, I'm going to go back to my 8-year-old again. Like, she loves defense. Like, nothing. She has no greater pride than just beating down, somebody that's going on a breakaway and just stealing the ball away. Like, she would do that all day rather than score a goal. She loves it. And so not everybody's like that. I mean, I know a lot of people play multiple positions. When did you really, like, what other positions did you play before really diving, like, figuring out that defense is where you shine?
Yeah, well, I played club first, or I guess like rec. And then when I switched to club and it became that year-round soccer, I was more of an attacking midfielder from my like rec days. And then when I made the switch over to a higher level, my coach did not want me on the field. I was god-awful, by far the worst player on the team. And so he wanted me nowhere near our goal because I was that bad. So I played forward. And then halfway through that year, our center back got injured. And my coach was like, oh, say a prayer. Like, we got to put Kaleigh back there. And I ended up just being like a bull in the china shop kind of defender. And we played stopper sweeper at the time, and I was a full-blown sweeper, and anytime anyone got past, I would just blast it out of bounds. Just kind of a brute force, and that was my style of defending. So it wasn't until like 9 that I realized, like, hey, I like defending. I kind of get it. It's starting to make sense. I also don't have to possess the ball. I don't have to pass it. I don't have to finesse any shots. It was strictly like I was on the field to disrupt things and to be a brute. So,
yeah. I think it's so you grew up in the Carolinas. You played for the North Carolina Courage. I mean, like, Carolina kind of seems like it was always home for you. And before I pressed record here, we were talking a little bit about what's been one of the biggest shocks for moving to Denver, and you're like, how dry it is. So when the opportunity came, why Denver? You're an established player in this league. You could have gone to a lot of places. What made you decide that you wanted to be a part of an expansion team?
There's a few things. It was the first time in my 8-year career history with the NWSL where I got to experience free agency. And so I had multiple teams kind of reach out on that first day of July 1st. And so it was really interesting and fun to be able to talk to multiple teams at the same time and see, what are your training sessions like? Who's the coach? Who's the owner? How invested are the fans? And I got to ask all these fun questions and kind of get to decide my own future. I stumbled on Denver as my final, hoorah, because I visited here when I was a junior in high school. We had we were like in national championships for the ECNL. I ended up not being able to play because I had a broken femur at the time, but I flew out here with my team. And I just remember, even my parents will say this, they were like, oh my God, this place just reminds me of Kaleigh. And I grew up backpacking out in the Appalachian Mountains over on the East Coast. So my family got me into backpacking, and I just love, and my heart and soul just loves the mountains. So one, I think it's really important to prioritize outside of soccer, because we really only train for 4 hours max, and that's with a little break in there. But I might be well, like an hour of lifting and then maybe 2 or an hour and a half on the field, and then a little break in between. So the rest of our day is pretty empty, and we have to, make it whatever we want it to be. And I wanted to be in Denver. I thought it was an amazing opportunity to kind of get my mountain passion and my love for the mountains back. And then I loved the idea of expansion because we get to create everything that we want to. Like, it's a blank canvas, and it's our responsibility and our role to be able to create the culture we want as players. I also loved the conversation I had with the coach, Nick Cushing, when I was in that free agency period. And I thought, even though I've been in the league for 8 years, I have a fairly established name in this league now.
Yes.
I still want to continue to get better. And that was something that was really important to me. I loved my time at North Carolina, but I'd been there for so long that I felt like, change is good. Change causes more growth. So I wanted a really big challenge. And I thought expansion would kind of be that on top of, the ability to create whatever we want it to be.
Yeah, and when you were saying that you've built a name for yourself in this league, you sure have. You don't miss games. So can we talk a little bit about your training? Because it's insane how many full minutes you have played of every single game. You have the Iron Woman award. I mean, like, let's talk about your training that you do, because it can be hard to stay healthy in an NWSL season.
Yes. Well, I have to thank my parents for the genetics. That seems to, go a really long way. And then now it's my first time on a new team, but each team kind of has their own, repertoire, whatever they do, their routines, how they train, the amount of meters, because everything has now changed into data. And so we wear GPS units on the back of our sports bras that track everything. So it's been really fascinating as I entered the pros and we had GPSs, but didn't really compile the data and analyze it to our fullest extent. And to now it's literally what drives our training sessions. And, they might pull players aside and be like, hey, you actually need to do extra running, or, hey, we need to back you off. You've done too much this week. So that is really cool to kind of experience. But, we have professionals here that look at all the load and manage the load.
So you say you have great genes. You have a team of trainers that are looking at the data, but really I feel like you're drinking from some sort of fountain of youth here, because you've been able to play every single minute for 4 consecutive seasons. So how has training been here at altitude? Has it been a little bit of a challenge for you? Like, have you noticed a strong difference? Do you feel better? Like, when you guys went to Coachella, was it like, oh, look how far I can run now, I'm not tired? Or let's talk about that a little.
Yeah. Well, I actually came off the end of the season, which I didn't realize while I was playing, but I had a pars fracture in my back. So I didn't really
realize.
I didn't realize that I had a back fracture. So I played the last few games of the season. I actually don't know when it happened. So I played however many games last season on a back fracture, and then finally got an MRI at the end of the season. So my leading into preseason, I really didn't do any cardio, and I didn't really lift any weights or anything because I needed to keep everything off my back. And so when I got to Denver, they were on top of it. The second they met with me, they wanted to look at my imaging, talk to me about my back, do the rehab, do all this testing, and they've taken such good care of me. But I will say, this was a different beast coming into that altitude and attempting to run for the first time. It's real. If you're born and raised here, I've talked to people in and around my house, and they're like, oh, can you actually feel a difference? I'm like, yes, I can. I'm dying.
I want to talk about some of the expectations that you have for the team this year. But one of the things I talk about on the show regularly is how the team is going to be able to use the altitude as a major advantage, because you guys have been training in it, and I really think that that's going to be our secret weapon for this inaugural season. But what are your expectations, not the team's expectations, but just yours for this very first season?
In terms of, a successful season, it's that we are successful. I'm one of 11 out there, or one of 16 maybe, if we use all of our substitutes. And so I can only do so much. It's really based on the week of prep that we lead into to go into that one game. And so I think a successful season, we're all so bought in. We had one of our first meetings, and Nick made this speech, and you never know, when you come into an expansion side, you're like, okay, we need to keep our expectations potentially low and not get too high and not ride the roller coaster. And he was like, no, we're here to win. See, I don't know if it's going to happen because, I can't read the future or predict the future, but we're here to win. And I was sitting there in this meeting I'm a winner. I agree. And I started getting so pumped up in the middle of his speech that I was like, okay. And then we get out to the field, and things clicked so much faster than I was expecting it to. The passes were so much crisper than I expected.
You guys don't look like an expansion team on the pitch. I mean, you guys look like you've been playing together for years. It's been really
Yeah.
exciting. But yes, sorry, continue.
No, you're good. Yeah, it really is exciting because I genuinely didn't know what to expect when I came onto the Courage. It was just like this established core that had played together for 3 years ish, and then some new people sprinkled in. Whereas this is everyone is coming together. We have no prior relationships, but we were able to just click on and off the field so fast. And we have a really good group of, we call ourselves the grandmas. It's basically everyone that was born in 19 something, whereas everyone else was born in the 2000s. So we have our grandma group, and I think, that is, we have a bunch of experience both at the club level and international level, and we've just been able to get everything rolling so quickly. But then, yeah, when you talked about the altitude and then going back to Coachella, it made a huge difference. So we were in warm up, and I think I made a joke with the girls, and I was like, "Feel that lack of burn in our lungs? Like, it's amazing." So we're in the middle of warm up and having a good time because we can just breathe for the first time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, and I'm actually glad you brought up the Coachella tournament because that was, I feel like it was first chance that you guys had to really see how are we clicking as a team. And because you guys have been playing against each other for weeks now, but you're able to go out against Utah and San Diego.
Yeah.
First time putting on the Summit jersey, and you were actually the captain for that game against Utah. How was that, putting on the armband for that very first game? Preseason game, and you got to not to be the one to wear it.
Yeah. Well, Janine wore it for the first half, and then she got subbed fairly early in the second half. So then it came back to me, and then the second game is when I got to wear it the whole time. But either way, like, I eventually wore the armband at the Courage, and it's, whenever you wear that, it's just such an honor that, the staff, the club, the players see you in that light of a leader. And one of my big things this year was I wanted to work on being a more positive leader. I have a really loud voice, I think, maybe not enough to roar over the 45,000 plus that are going to come to our home opener.
Heck yeah.
But I have a pretty powerful voice, but when I'm trying to project at times and things are really loud, I feel like the tone can get a little scary, especially for youngsters. So I'm really working on, softening that tone, making sure I meet people where they are and not scaring the crap out of them on, 5 weeks in. So it's, whenever you wear that armband, it's such an honor. It's a privilege to be able to show your club and your coach and your staff and your players that you don't take it lightly. You take a lot of responsibility with it. And I didn't expect it, and it was just really heartfelt.
Yeah, well, I love that. And when you guys were playing at Coachella, you really played phenomenally. 2 games with 2 wins and 7 goals scored. So from your perspective on the field, what stood out to you about how this team played? I know it was preseason, and even the Rockies went in preseason. So but was there a moment where you're like, this is clicking?
Not quite in the Utah game. I'm coming from a club that was very much based in possession, and I didn't think that our possession was strong enough in the Utah game. So then going into the second game, that was a big focus of ours, was, okay, we didn't really retain much possession. We were able to absorb the moments when they were on the attack. We were able to put them on the back foot and score 2 goals. So then for the San Diego game, our big focus was, okay, can we retain a bit more of the ball, keep possession, maybe pin them in their half a little bit? And so the fact that in 1 week, 1 short week, we were able to take that information and see what, wasn't working as well in the Utah game. We were able to apply it immediately, and against a really top San Diego side. I played against them last year, and they made my Courage team look like we were traffic cones out there. So I know what they can do. I know how they like to play. They like to play tiki-taka football, and we were able to disrupt that. And we even, I think it was 1-0, then 1-1, then 2-1, then 2-2. And at that point, when it's going back and forth like a seesaw, it can go either way. And we just, as a club, stuck with the roles that we were given, and everyone took their opportunity when they were in front of goal. And so to score 5 against a really top side is incredible.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. And I think that, well, just from what I've been seeing on the threads, everyone was really, really excited. Like, wow, I wasn't expecting this type of cohesiveness from this team already. And one thing that you mentioned earlier was that you really were wanting to play for Nick. And he has a different system than what you played when you were in Carolina. So let's talk about that a little bit more. What drew you into wanting to play in this new system for Nick Cushing?
I guess it was less of a lack of a system, because one of the things I love about Nick is he takes the players that he has and he doesn't try and mold them into a specific system. He looks at who we have and he tries to bring out the best qualities of the players we have to fit a system, or like to create our own system. So instead of trying to, smash people into a little box that maybe that's not their best form or that's not the best suited position for them, he takes everyone's attributes and it's like, oh, this is actually, I think, how we're going to be the most successful, because we're allowing each player to be the most comfortable that they can be, have the partnerships that they are cultivating on the field, and if it's clicking and meshing well, then yeah. So I that was something I really liked, was that he doesn't really have an exact system. He's able to adapt, and then I think he's a very eloquent speaker, and when he talks, he just instills so much confidence and motivation in the group. And that was so refreshing. I loved hearing from him. And even, like I said, on that first meeting, I was just like, oh, we're going to win. I'm ready. It's happening this year. So I loved everything that he's talked to me about so far. And that, when he did give me the captain's armband, it was a huge honor, and that, showed a lot of confidence he has in me, even though he's only known me for 5 weeks. So yeah,
it's hard to believe it's only been 5 weeks. It feels like it's been way longer than that.
You should try running around in it.
So let's talk about some of these other players on the team, because at the jersey reveal party back at Union Station, there was a couple questions that were asked that I was so glad that you answered the way that you did, because I was like, oh, when I talk to her, I want to ask her to elaborate. Okay, and one thing I want you to elaborate on is Natalie Means, because she's a defender that's honestly, she's playing all over the field. She's scored a goal. She's got an assist. What is it like playing alongside her? You specifically called her out when we were talking about players to be excited about. So what about playing alongside her is really exciting for you?
I had the privilege for the last 4-ish weeks of mainly training beside her, and also getting to play beside her in some scrimmages. And she is so hardworking. She is athletic as anything, can keep up with just about anyone in this league, speed for speed wise. She's not a true defender, and yet I think her 1v1 defending skills are incredible, and they're only going to get better. So she's just taken everything as a rookie in stride. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do is you go from college, you go to this next level, which the skip from college to the pros is a huge jump. And she doesn't look fatigued. She looks fit. She came in fit. She's defending really well against a top San Diego side. She's good on the ball. She can play on the left side or the right side. And she's a naturally attacking player, which allows her as a defender to get into the attack, which is when she scored her goal and had an assist against San Diego. So I have nothing but positive things to say about this girl. I think she has the potential to go very far in this league.
And another person that's surprised me is Olivia Thomas, a rookie, yes. 3 goals in 2 games. What have you seen from her that makes you think that she's ready to play and start at this level?
Yeah, when she first got here, I think there was a bit of a learning curve. And typically, a player can go in 1 or 2 directions when they're having this hard time in the first few weeks of preseason. And instead of, cowering down or kind of showing that she was afraid, she was like, no, I want to continue to learn. I want to get better. I want to get past this. And so she went from 0 to 100 in a matter of a day. And it just seemed like this mental switch for her. And she's now posting players up, spinning people if they get too close. So I think she has adapted so quickly. And watching her, struggle a little bit in the first few weeks, both mentally and physically. And then now she's getting called up to the national team, which is so warranted. It's amazing because if you've been in the preseason with us for the last 5 weeks, she's just a completely different player, and she's found her confidence. She's found her voice. She is energetic and has so much energy and so much to give. And so the fact that she's scoring, it's going to make Nick's job hard. We have 2 number 9s that I think in every scrimmage we've had so far, they've both scored. So
yeah,
it's not a bad thing to have.
It's never a bad thing to have people that are putting the ball in the back of the net.
Please.
Well, and I love that you talked about having the grandmas on the team. And, there's a mix on this team of veterans like, Carson Pickett, Janine Sanas, and then you have the rookies like Thomas and Means. So how is this balance working? Are the rookies asking a lot of questions of you guys, the veterans, or are they just kind of going for it? To explain what the locker room's like.
I think it just kind of depends. Each person on the grandma side kind of brings something different. So depending on who you are, like some people might be more comfortable talking to Carson. Someone might be more confident talking to me or having a conversation with Abby Smith. So we have so many different people in different positions that we're able to kind of cover our ground. And then I think we've done a really good job of being open with them. I've had a lot of people come ask questions. Yeah, and I just think that I got to toot the grandma's horns because we took that role and responsibility of okay, there is a really big discrepancy between the ages. We have 20-year-olds and then we have 32-year-olds. So, a decade of change. And I got made fun of because apparently I don't know the lingo at all. And I'm never going to probably try and learn the lingo.
Well, my 11-year-old just told me that 6'7" is now so out. So
out. Come on. So there's just so many things that the pop culture is just changing so quickly. So it's very nice to have them around because they keep me younger or they make me not understand the word they're saying. And I feel like they're speaking a different language, which they basically are. But I think the mix has just been really amazing to see that, even though there is this big difference between ages, we're all able to come together on the field, joke around together, get the job done in all of our preseason scrimmages so far. And I think we have a good time doing it while we're on the field too.
Amazing. We're getting so close to that very first game against Bay FC. Oh, man, it feels like it was so far away, and now I'm like, man, it's in 2 weeks. So what is the focus for the team between now and then?
I think it depends on who you ask because we have so many players who are on international duty at the moment. So for them, it's finishing out their international jobs and then coming back and also recovering so that they can prepare for that opening week. And then for us here, if you talk to any club and all the players who don't go on international duty, we put in a grind. We put in a shift, and they're like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to, get our meters up, keep the fitness level. Players who maybe don't typically play super high minutes, 60, 70 to 90 minutes, they're now having to put that shift in. So I think it depends on who you ask, like I said. For me, at least, it's continuing to push the standards of the group while, some of the internationals are away and keeping that leadership and my own personal standards high so that I can perform on the field every single day of training. And then continuing to keep my body right because if we have 5 sessions a week, it starts to add up and it's, my main job.
We got to go for that Iron Woman again this year, so.
I got to try,
Right? Yeah. So.
Part of it's up to the coach,
Yeah.
Body and there's a lot of pieces. It's not just me.
Yeah. Oh, man. You have Bay FC coming up. Down the road, honestly, the NWSL didn't give you any, I'm going to say leeway or I don't know. They didn't help out the Summit at all with this first half of the schedule. I feel like you guys are constantly on a plane and then we're here for March 28th and then you're gone again. But March 28th is a big day and you're going to play at Empower Field, Mile High Stadium. You guys have already broken the record for an NWSL match. Yeah. What are you expecting that atmosphere to be like?
Oh, I already have goosebumps just talking about it, or when you just said it. The most I think I've ever played in front of was LA's inaugural home opener, and that was I think 22 to 25,000.
Oh, smash that.
We're mashing that, and I remember being on the field, and I could not communicate to my teammates because of how loud it is out there. And so it changes the dynamic of the sport that you play. When you have 7,000 and you're kind of enclosed, you can speak to your teammates around you. And when you're on the field and there's 45,000 people and everyone's screaming and excited and they're bringing this energy, it changes the way you play because you no longer can rely on your auditory sensory. You have to rely on typically your peripheral vision, constantly head on the swivel. You're pointing, so you're going to probably see all of us with our arms all over the place trying to communicate. Yeah. And so to have 45,000 tickets already sold and knowing that that's the fan base that is showing up for Denver Summit FC, I'm baffled. I genuinely cannot believe that this is happening and that this is my team. I feel so lucky. When I was at the Courage, no knock to them, but people I went to the dog park and people would ask me, how are you here at 3 p.m. with your dog? And I was like, oh, well, I play professional soccer. And then they were like, we have a women's soccer team here. And I was like, And now when I walk around Denver, I ended up bending my engagement ring at training. So I had to go to a jeweler's to get it fixed. And he was like, oh my gosh, you're a Summit player? And he recognized me. And it was just a crazy experience where I walk in and someone knew my face, and that has never happened before.
And you guys haven't even played a game yet.
I know the game. It's crazy. I cannot wait. I can't believe that this city has riled around a game that hasn't even happened yet, and a team that we haven't really shown what we can do in this league besides 2 preseason scrimmages.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was telling Jordan this when she came on the show that it's about time we got a women's soccer team here because I feel like Denver is such a strong sports town, but we love our soccer. Between, Lindsay Heaps and then, Mallory Swanson and Sophia Smith, there's a number of U.S. women's national team players that have come out of the Colorado system. We love our soccer. We love our sports. What took so long? So one thing, and I know I said that I was only going to ask you a couple more questions, but this is, I swear, the last question because it was really exciting, again, at that jersey release party, how I felt like you were really sitting down and giving some very tactical advice to not just young soccer girls, but young soccer players about the importance of being deceptive and just really a lot of it was great coaching that you gave to anyone that was really listening and trying to take it in. I know my 11-year-old, I swear after she heard you speak, she has focused on her ball skills and trying to be deceptive a whole lot more. So if there's anyone listening right now, because I know that there's a lot of young fans that listen to the podcast, what is one piece of advice that you would give them as they continue their soccer journey?
Going kind of off the deceptive and how I learned it, you can learn so much from not just playing, but watching the sport. And you have to change the lens and the perspective of how you watch it. It might not be, just for the enjoyment of watching the sport and how the ball moves, but it's watching how players move, how their body reacts when the ball's coming. How do they, they start shifting their shoulders so they can get away from defenders. I think there's so many amazing female and male players that you can learn from. And so I've done very little coaching, but when I've noticed a huge difference between boys and girls. And boys will watch a sport and they'll see Messi or Ronaldo or whomever that they're following, and they do this move, and they're willing to try it. And so to any girl listeners, don't be afraid to fail. I think that's one of the biggest things. Don't be afraid to look silly. Enjoy it. We all fail. I can't do it around the world, and that's okay with me. I'm a professional soccer player. I've made a name for myself, but I can't do it around the world. So there's so many things that, I decided not to do because I was afraid of failing, and I think that kind of pushed me back a little bit. So don't be afraid to fail, enjoy learning, keep trying everything, and then learn from the people that are, in front of you or in front of your TV.
Like the Denver Summit are going
like
to
the
be.
Denver Summit players, plug.
Yep, exactly. And again, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet for March 28th, what are you waiting for? It's going to be insane. It's going to be so much fun. Poor players aren't going to be able to hear themselves. The jerseys or the kits have dropped. They look legit. They look great. We got Kaleigh's here. I know I'm so silly. I was like, maybe I'll wear it. And then I was like, yeah, like I can wear a youth large. Anyway. But well, Kaleigh, this has been an absolutely incredible conversation. I can't thank you enough for joining me on the 5280 pitch. And if people want to connect with you, you have an awesome Instagram. I love seeing all the pictures of you and your dog. If anyone knows a great Thai place here in the Denver area, let her know, because I'm not a big Thai fan, because I probably haven't found a good place to get it. So, yeah.
Okay. We're all entitled to our own opinions and whatever foods we want.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Kaleigh. This has been such an awesome conversation, and good luck this season.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. That was Kaleigh Kurtz of the Denver Summit FC. If you want to follow Kaleigh on Instagram, be sure to check her out at Kaleigh Kurtz. And obviously, if you don't follow the Denver Summit FC on all the platforms, be sure to follow them at Denver Summit _FC. And for everyone listening, if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed to the 5280 pitch wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at 5280 pitch. Connect with us online, 5280pitch.com. Sign up for the newsletter so you never miss an episode. Next week, we are going to be talking a little bit more about who else is on this roster and what we can expect in those first few games. Until then, thank you so much for hanging with me. Thanks again to Kaleigh Kurtz for joining us on the 5280 pitch. Women's soccer at altitude. Let's go Summit.